for at least the past 1 or 2 years, or maybe more, you were doing a river raft race. This year, I noticed it changed from race to like a parade and a costume contest. So I'm gonna make some bets on maybe percentages. I'm gonna say that at least 20%, maybe 25% of the costumes on there are going to be pirates.
I
think you're right.
There's definitely a good amount of pirates that end up as rafting costumes.
Yeah.
Although we also get fuzzy unicorns and ducks. I don't know. I've been involved with a couple of raft parades throughout the country. A couple up in Montana, a couple in Colorado, and people come up with some wild ideas on how to put a costume over a life jacket.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of fun to see what people do. And the reason we changed from a race is that kind of makes it more exclusive, right? It pushes certain groups of people out. Yeah. Whereas a costume contest and raft parade that is open to all of the public and it's just for fun is a lot more inclusive. And I think that's what Riverfest is all about, is finding ways to include people at the river and to bring them into an understanding of this valuable and beautiful resource we have.
Ken's Think Tank is made possible by the following sponsors. Do you need HVAC services or a tankless water heater? Four States Equipment. Whether it's residential or commercial, Four States Equipment has it all. Parts and equipment, sales and service, from restaurant equipment to heating and air conditioning. Visit fourstatesequipment.com. Ken Collins Marketing. It's simple. We help small business owners get more customers. Show our sponsors some love. If you're watching the video, show us some love by smashing the like button. And remember, the views and opinions expressed on Ken's Think Tank do not necessarily reflect those of our sponsors.
If I was in a group that wanted to participate in that, how would I get a raft?
Well, if a private rafter wants to come along, they just bring their own boat and put it in the river. Obviously, it's an open access river, and they'll just be included in the contest by floating by, and we'll give them a little number that they can be judged by. As far as if a company wanted to do it, let's say Ken wanted to sponsor a raft with his marketing team, we would it's $100 to sponsor a raft through Desert River Guides, and we can take up to 10 people on that raft. And you bring your own sign and bring your own costumes. We'll provide life jackets, paddles, and a guide. So yeah, anybody that wants to join, private boaters, we would love to see them out there. Kayakers, stand-up paddle boarders, anybody that wants to float on something, as long as you bring a life jacket, we'll put you out there on the river and you can float along with us.
In a tube?
In a tube if you want to get that cold. That water's not that warm. But you can bring a tube if you want to.
Right.
And then, like I said, a company can sponsor a raft. We have 6 rafts available. Three Rivers Brewing is already sponsoring one raft for the raft parade, and they're going to send some of their folks and get some costumes together for that.
Okay, that's cool.
Does the college still rent equipment like that?
Absolutely. The college has a number of rafts that they can rent. I think it's $90 a day to rent a raft with paddles and life jackets. Of course, you're going to want somebody that's at least somewhat experienced river rafting to be your captain for that if you rent a boat.
Sure.
But yeah, they absolutely do have access to a lot of different gear for river rafting, as well as stand-up paddle boards. They have inflatable kayaks. So San Juan College Outdoor Rental Center definitely is an excellent resource that we have here in Farmington that a lot of people don't take advantage of.
Yeah.
And that is fully open to the public.
When did Riverfest start?
I think that it started in 1987.
Okay.
We needed Dr. Lamer here to tell us that. But
yeah.
I think it started in 1987, but it was Labor Day.
Oh.
And they brought in like a gypsy troupe to entertain.
Really?
Yes, it was a lot of fun. And that year, the only little trail they had sort of bushwhacked from where River Reach Terrace is, up the trail just a little ways. It wasn't, it wasn't a finished trail. There were no plazas or anything.
Yeah.
And then the following year, they moved it to Memorial Day weekend because the rafting in the water on the river.
Okay.
And it's been going ever since, every year except for 2020 and 2021.
Yeah.
So we were having a hard time figuring out if this is our 36th or our 34th Riverfest, because, are you counting the years since you started it or the years you actually had an event?
Right. Yeah. Throw a wrench in the whole thing.
Yeah, you got to really sit and worry about things like that.
And that's actually why Animus River Jam was born. Is that right?
Yeah. The city, because of all the regulations with the pandemic, we weren't going to do anything. And the city came to us and said, please do something because people need to get out.
Yeah.
And I think that was Rob Mays or Mayor Duckett or both of them that were just quite insistent. We went ahead and booked the music groups, but people had the opportunity to get out, enjoy some music, and eat some food and be outdoors. And it was kind of in between mask mandates, so it was it was good timing. And people were saying, "Oh yeah, I went to Riverfest last year," and you're like, "No, that was not Riverfest.
No,
it was music and food."
Yeah,
But it was, wait till you see Riverfest, because it's it's like a three-ring circus. There's something going on everywhere. It's great.
Yeah. Drastic difference between Riverfest and Animus River Jam. But Animus River Jam was such a hit that you guys are going to continue
We've
doing
picked
that,
it up,
right?
and now we're going to do it in the fall. We're going to do it in September.
Perfect.
And sort of close off the season.
Right. So Riverfest, it kind of makes sense to do it in the spring,
That's when
the river's rising up. It's really coming to life, the whole thing, and do a fall celebration to put it to bed for the winter.
Yep, that's about it. As you watch the leaves come out, and then you watch the leaves go out.
Yeah.
Come out and go out. There's usually like an arts and crafts area.
Okay.
We get sponsors. Initially, the River Reach used to pay for all the materials, and the last couple of years we've been able to get sponsors that cover those expenses. So kids do arts and crafts. There's no charge for them on that. It's just for fun.
Right.
Then there's vendors that do things that kids like especially face painters.
Yeah.
And balloon animals and things like that. And then there are what we call children's amusements. So those are things like bouncy houses. In the past, we've had ponies and different things like that that kids can do. And those are mostly at Rocky Reach Terrace. We try to keep them in one area so that families with kids are not walking back and forth. Oh, I want my face painted. It's 2 miles from here, honey. So anyway, that's a lot of fun.
Now, is the face painting restricted to children, or
no? I don't think so.
Would I be able to get?
I think you could get your face painted.
Because
you might have to wait in line behind a lot of kids, though.
Right.
I look at some of those and I go, that looks like fun. I wouldn't mind doing that myself.
Yeah, but then there's some adult-only type of things, and by way of like a beer tent and wine.
Yep, Clancy's does beer and wine.
Okay.
And at both venues, we started that some years back. We started at just Rocky Reach Landing, and we expanded it.
Okay.
And so it's at both ends now. So they just have they're lined up there with the food trucks.
Yeah.
And but they're near the music in both cases, so you can, if you're 21 and you're so inclined, you can go have a beer and sit down and listen to music.
And there are a lot of food trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Monica does our food vending, or she organizes it, and she's trying to get food trucks that that are not paying the full amount that say somebody does, just so they can get in there and get their name out there and say, I'm parked at this location most of the time, so that people go, hey, that was a really good food, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And now I know where to look for them, because we know they're all over town.
Right.
And
but
you don't necessarily know who's what, and you don't necessarily get a chance to sample their food. If you're driving by at 45 miles an hour and you go, oh, that's barbecue.
Yeah.
And so
you get them all packed into one location. You can just bounce them and see which ones you like, and then that way, then okay, I'm going to find wherever they are.
Yeah.
the rest of the year. So
Yeah, just in my neighborhood, I drove by the other day and saw a food truck parked, and I was like, oh, I've never heard that one. I wonder where they are. You know, so that would be a neat way to get your name out there.
Because this is a pretty large task to put this event together. All the board members are involved in one way or another. And then, so how many board members are there?
We have 15 board members.
Okay.
What we have is what are called executive directors. So I have an executive director that's over me, and she takes care of, or she's responsible for checking up on all the vending. I'm a director of arts and crafts. So I'm putting together the arts and crafts show, which is at River Beach Terrace. So basically, I just report to her and tell her, I have this many vendors set up already. If I have any issues, I would let her know, etc. And then that way, when we used to have Riverfest organizing committee meetings, there'd be like 30 people in the room, and let me tell you, it was chaos.
Yeah.
You had all these sidebar conversations
Right.
going. So this way we have, I think it's 8 or 9 people that meet on a regular basis, and then I report to my executive director.
Right.
And Deanne Waters is in charge of vendors, and so she reports the same executive director I do, etc.
Right.
And so I think that'll work out a lot better. And we have new board members. We have a couple that have never been to Riverfest, but they're in charge of something, and they're like, "Tell me what I'm doing." And it's like, "Oh yeah, that's how it is." When I first moved here, I was principal at Heights, and one of the parents was a board member of the River Reach Foundation, and suggested that I volunteer for a 2-hour shift at the information booth.
Okay.
And the next year I was in charge of the information booth. And I was like, oh my God, how did that happen?
Oh man.
And so yeah, that's you learn fast, and that's how our newer board members are as far as the things that they're in charge of. So, and that's kind of based on, this is a weird story for me, but I used to be a fireman in Kayenta.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, I was.
That's awesome.
I was actually Arizona's first female fire chief, but that's the way we're set up is actually an incident command system, so that you have a chain of command that's not maybe more than 8 people, and so instead of one person being in charge of the whole Riverfest organizing committee, you've got all these people that have people under them and so on. And it shouldn't be. Just because I say that, we'll get to the event and we'll have forgotten something really, really important.
Yeah.
But I think it's a better way to organize it.
And then you've got an army of troops. You've got an army of volunteers as well.
Yep. Chris Troyer is in charge of our securing our volunteers. Cody's been. Well, I'll let Cody talk about his volunteers in a minute, but. We've got a new app that we're using for volunteer management, and people can just sign up. They can now with the new app, they can sign up for when they want to work and where they want to work. Before you just sort of signed up, and then Chris would get hold of you. Sure. But Cody's been instrumental because he's the National Honor Society sponsor at Piedra Vista. He gets us kids, and they are phenomenal. Yeah. They are such a great asset. Yeah. They do such hard work.
Yeah, those kids are just looking for fun stuff to do and are really community involved. The cool thing about being a teacher is getting to work with those motivated and really go-getter type of kids, and that's part of why I chose to be the sponsor advisor for National Honor Society, because those are the kids that want to go out and get some stuff done and find ways to benefit their community. Right. We have kids that are sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and they just want to get out there and help, and they're driven and dedicated to what they do, and they're responsible and on time, which is, we get a lot of adult volunteers that don't show up for a shift. Whereas,
can I also add they're enthusiastic and energetic?
That is also true, yeah. And so it's just really cool to work with that group of kids and also other kids throughout the high school. I don't just limit the volunteer opportunities to those Honor Society kids. Of course, I make it known to all of my students that I work with at PV that this is available. And the ones that sign up are typically really good, hardworking kids.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So we have I think anytime maybe between 150 and 250 volunteers
Yeah.
that work various shifts.
Because you need that many.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. It's an army of people.
I think we have information booths, and this year we're going to have merchandising booths and parking.
Right.
And in the past, we've relied heavily on our local ROTCs for parking, because that's what they do. They know how to do that.
Sure.
And we've used Shiprock and Piedra Vista and Farmington High School ROTCs over the years.
Yeah.
And they do a great job too. If somebody wants to do like a treasure hunt, and I don't know if we'll end up doing that or not, but it's been brought to members of the organizing committee.
Man, what a great event we've been putting on for, like you said, close to 25 years now.
35 years. 34, I think, is
what the decision's been made. Okay, all right.
Wow.
And it couldn't be done without the community turnout, because we couldn't make something like this happen without people wanting to be here.
Yeah.
And so bringing Farmington together, and then bringing the rest of the community of New Mexico and Southwest Colorado and Utah and Arizona, we get people from all over the Four Corners, and sometimes people just traveling through run into this amazing event, and then they decide to come back or stay in Farmington for a little bit longer. And that's what it's all about, is bringing your family out, getting something to do that you can have a lot of fun and be outdoors.
Right.
And so we like to celebrate our rivers, because that's what rivers are great for, is getting people outdoors.
Yeah. You know, the ride that I took with you on our episode, there was a family who was doing just that, right? They were here for a different reason, and then discovered the rivers, and what? I can take a raft on the river? And they did it, and they absolutely loved it. It was like this amazing experience, and they want to come back. So yeah.
One of the I took 5 raft trips, I think, with Cody's business last summer. I was enjoying it. But one of the trips we took, we had a lady on there who's a visiting nurse, with COVID, with the hospital. Right. And she was just bored, and she saw something about the rafting, and so she rafted, and then she came back the next day and did the other river. So she, it was good times. There's one thing I want to add that I think we didn't mention. Okay. And that is the city of Farmington, the Parks Department. The city of Farmington in general, and the Parks Department, Shauna Reeves and Doug Abe, they are phenomenal to work with, and we don't do this event by ourselves. The Parks Department does a massive amount of work, and they are just so great to work with. And I've worked with them for like 20 years now, and they're always they're lifesavers. And, our Parks Department is phenomenal, period. But specifically with Riverfest, we couldn't do it without them.
Yeah, they've got a bunch of really good troops over there, and they know what they're doing. They just know what they're doing.
And they enjoy doing it. They don't. It's not like, oh God, it's Riverfest again. Right. It's like they're enthusiastic about it. Right. And they have ideas. Like if we've got this problem. Well, what about this? Right. And the city of Farmington steps up in a lot of ways. Parking is an issue. We have remote parking out at Gateway Museum, and the Red Apple Transit will bring people down here. They don't charge the people. They don't charge us. Right. The city of Farmington stepped up and said, hey, this is an issue. Yeah. Let's help you out. They also transport people. Well, I think we get a medical van from the hospital that we transport people like from here to the other side that maybe can't walk all the way. Yeah,
it's a really pretty walk, but it's a long walk, you know.
And so for older people or people with disabilities, it's not. Our river trails are not particularly friendly.
Yeah, it could prevent somebody from going to the other side of that thing. But if you can just park here, and do the things that are here, and then get a ride over to the other side and do all the things that are on the other side as well.
And when you get to the other side, we have the Antique Tractor Association, which basically like a hayride. Yeah. They'll take you from the parking lot down to Rocky Ridge Landing, so that you can I know one time I was so tired and I was parked over there and I'd walked across and back and forth and back and forth, and I saw that tractor and I was like, oh God, thank you. Thank you. You can take me the last quarter mile. So, yeah, it was nice.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Awesome.
So there's a lot of, we're hoping, I don't know if we will, but we're hoping, like with our Riverfest event, to be able to involve the animal shelter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yep.
Well, it's back, everybody. Riverfest. So this year,
RiverfestNewMexico.com.
Yeah.
And if anybody has any questions about any of the events, or how do I get to be a vendor, or how could I get my food truck in there, or whatever, all the contact information is at the website.
Yeah.
Particularly at the end of the website where it says, where there's a vendor tab.
Right.
Sponsorship. If you're a company like Ken Collins Advertising, or
right.
If you're a company and would like to be a sponsor,
right.
We have opportunities. We'll take your money.
Yeah.
And we'll put your name all over everything and saying, these people help bring, because we rely on our sponsors.
Yeah.
It's the sponsors that make the events possible.
Make the event possible, and then the event makes
Generates
so
money,
many
too.
other things that you guys do that the River Reach Foundation does in and around the rivers and for the rivers. So, I mean, you'll take their money, but you'll put it to a really great cause.
It's not like we're going to Acapulco or anything. All the money that we raise,
we travel the world looking at other people's rivers.
No, we don't do that. It all goes into projects here. So that's
all
why
stays
we do
in the
it.
local community to benefit the community.
And there's been a lot of development. I mean, a lot of development. I grew up just right up here, and I used to come down here. I loved it. There was nothing. There was nobody, and I was an introvert, so I could go down here and get away from people. But it was just trees. There was no development. It was just trees and like game trails and whatnot. And man, and now since I've come back and I'm an adult and everything, my girlfriend and I, we would come down here and walk the trails, and you could take multiple different paths and bridges and get to the other side of the river, which wasn't an option when I was a kid, know. And
not without getting your feet wet.
I know. And so
slipping on the stones.
Just so much development, but parks springing up and river access, and just the whole thing. So there's so many things that's been going on, but besides just cleanup efforts, and it just goes on and on and on. So
Cody, you want to talk about the cleanup?
Sure, yeah.
I forgot about that.
2 weeks before Riverfest, on Saturday, May 14th, our Raft company, as well as the City of Farmington and River Reach Foundation, are organizing a trail and river cleanup.
Okay.
We're going to bring a couple of boats down and set up a boat as a trash barge, and then sort of bounce back and forth on the river between the two shores and pick up as much debris as we can possibly catch and get out of the trees and out of the banks. And then also there's going to be opportunities for people that just, if they want to walk around, they can grab a trash bag and a grabber, and we'll just send out hopefully a large group of people to just pick up before Riverfest. And our parks aren't that dirty, but there's always a little bit of stuff here and there, and when we put the effort in to keep them clean, they stay clean.
Right.
And so we're doing a really cool organized event for that on May 14th at 11 a.m. And anybody that shows up, we're going to do first come, first serve to do a float down the river and help pick up some trash.
Awesome.
And then those people that are left over or that don't want to get on the water will be able to pick up some trash around the parks and on the trails. And then there will be a dumpster at the Berg Park East, which is
where the first bridge is.
Just upstream where the first bridge is.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah, and we'll be meeting initially at Animus Park, and then there will be a group probably meeting there at Berg East as well.
Well, thank you guys for riding with me. This is cool, and I'm glad that Riverfest is back this year. I mean, it's one of those huge annual things that you almost take for granted that, it's time for Riverfest, and we haven't had it the last 2 years because of the craziness of everything.
That
so.
first year we waited, we thought this is going to go away. Yeah, we believed in 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And we finally had to just say, no, it's not going to happen.
No, everybody misheard that. It was 2 years. 2 years.
Well, the curve is flat. We're back at Riverfest.
Awesome. I'm glad you guys are back. So thanks for riding with me.
Thanks a lot, Ken.
It was really fun.
Thank you, Ken.
Right on, man.
Ken's Think Tank is made possible with help from these fine sponsors: Basin Home Health and Hospice,